Hey guys, Cameron with CBM Reviews here, and we're on the road to Infinity War again. We are now on Doctor Strange. Doctor Strange was directed by Scott Derrickson, and it starred Benedict Cumberbatch, Chiwetel Ejiofor, I said it right, Tilda Swinton, Mads Mikkelsen, and Benedict Wong. Before I continue, I just want to give a special thanks to all those who I talked with and interacted with at Fan Expo Dallas. I appreciate all of the interactions and everything like that, especially those who decided to subscribe to my channel. Also, if you haven't seen any of the footage that I shot for Fan Expo Dallas, you can go ahead and click a playlist up here. I've got a link to all the stuff going on. And if you don't want to miss any of the uploads like the ones up here or any of the ones that I've got going on currently, please subscribe to CBM Reviews. Now, back to the review. Let's get started with the story. So this starts off, Doctor Strange is a world-renowned surgeon. He is like the guy whenever there's a near impossible situation, he's the guy to go to. He's batting 1,000, so he doesn't take anything that could just mess up his perfect whatever. He's really smug, he's really uptight, Tony Stark anyone, and he gets into a car crash because texting and driving. Don't do it, kids. He messes up his hands really bad in the crash, leaving his surgical practice in shaky territory, pun intended. He exhausts all of his options as far as Western medical treatment is concerned, so he decides to look elsewhere, and he finds himself in... Where was he? Where the heck was he? Kathmandu? He was looking for Camartage, which is this place that he was told could heal his hands, and he is first very skeptical, even though he's exhausted all of his resources and spent everything that he had just to get there. Come to find out, it's not a bunch of hooey, and he is introduced into a completely new dimension that he's never experienced before. He wants to stay. The Ancient One says, no, I don't want you to stay. She eventually, after waiting some time, accepts him into the fold. And so he is struggling. He finally starts to read some of the texts that are in the library of mysticism, so to speak. And he gets better on an exponential rate because that's how he got better in his surgical practice. He starts playing with the Eye of Agamotto. And at this point is only when the movie really starts to gain speed. There's been one sequence before this point that was really something special, and everything else was just kind of bleh. We're introduced to a villain named Caecilius, who was an old student of the Ancient One, and he's trying to destroy all of the temples that are placed around the world so that the Dark Lord Dormammu can come down and claim the Earth as his own, as his world as well. He actually succeeds in destroying the Sanctum in London, and now he's trying to destroy the Sanctum in New York, but Doctor Strange shows up and actually stops him. He stops some of his acolytes and causes him to have to retreat. They have to regroup, the Ancient One is killed, and now we see Doctor Strange having to use the Eye of Agamotto to save the Hong Kong Sanctum, and they do, and Doctor Strange actually has to go to the Dark Dimension to try to talk Dormammu out of getting the Earth. He succeeds, and the bad guys are defeated, and Doctor Strange wins, and he becomes the new Sorcerer Supreme and the master of the New York Sanctum. So that's pretty much the story in a nutshell. I stated previously that the story seemed a little slow, and this is true up to the point where they talk about the Eye of Agamotto. It does kind of drag a little bit. Second thing I want to talk about is the visuals. This is the most beautiful Marvel movie you have seen. A lot of it, a ton of it is CG. There's no practical way to film some of the things that they do. But some of the scenes in this are just amazing. From the escape where they're running from Caecilius in the mirror dimension to where the Ancient One opens Doctor Strange's eye, to the Hong Kong fight where they're doing the fight in reverse time. Those are some of the most memorable, some of the most beautiful set pieces that you will see. It is completely able to go places that other movies and other fight scenes aren't allowed to go because they are dealing with a magical aspect here, and this magical aspect they decide to, dial it up to 11, but still try to keep it in that real world situation. So I will say, yeah, absolutely, it's beautiful. Is this a must-see for getting ready for Infinity War? I'm going to say yes. I'm not saying yes. I'm saying yes. And the reason why is because you've got a new character, Doctor Strange, which you need to know about, you know, what he's about. You also have the Eye of Agamotto, which is announced at the end of the movie, is actually the Time Stone. So now we have 5 stones that have been revealed. And so because of those two things, yeah, I think this is one that you should check out. But as far as the story being connected to the larger Marvel Cinematic Universe, it really isn't. It's a standalone movie. It's well told. It just seems to drag in the first half. But if for no other reason than to watch the beautiful effects, go watch it. So that's what I have to say about Doctor Strange. You guys take it away.
Doctor Strange is a really good movie. I enjoyed watching it. My least favorite character is Caecilius because his eyes are ugly, and my favorite character is the Ancient One because she's magical. And my favorite scene is when the Ancient One pushes Doctor Strange's spirit out of his body. You should watch it.
Hey true believers, John here for Cameron over at CBM Reviews, and tonight, by the vapors of the Vishanti, we shall discuss Doctor Strange. Now Doctor Strange helped kick off Marvel's Phase 3. And it was kind of, I don't know, maybe an odd step to take for your second movie in that phase. You know, it's following something big like Captain America Civil War, but then you think about, well, alright, Ant-Man followed Age of Ultron, so let's see what they've got. And what we got was a British actor playing a very intelligent, very gravelly voiced, very arrogant American doctor, which sounds just a little familiar, who gets into a terrible car accident, mangles his hands, so now he can no longer be a master surgeon. Now he's got to figure out something new in life. So what does he turn to? Well, what else? Magic, which takes him on his journey for the rest of the movie to becoming Earth's Sorcerer Supreme. Along the way, he meets some cool people. The Ancient One, a reincarnated mystical figure who this time around is played by Tilda Swinton instead of a Tibetan monk, but more on that later. Mordo, who I think eventually becomes a baron. Caecilius, played by Mads Mikkelsen. And, oh gosh, who am I forgetting? Oh yeah, Dormammu, Master of the Dark Dimension. Kind of an ambitious choice. In fact, everything about this movie is very ambitious. Because you're talking about one of Marvel's biggest big bads. Like, Dormammu, despite him having kind of a burning pumpkin head, is up there on the baddie scale. Like, he's one of your big guys. He's one of your crossover event big guys. But they brought him out in this one, and it works. One of the things I want to address about this one is a lot of people complain that, oh, it's just Iron Man with magic. It's just Iron Man with magic. And I disagree. You see, it does follow kind of the similar formula of you have a protagonist who starts at a high point, suffers a fall, and then has to redeem themselves, and in the process becomes the hero. Well, with Iron Man, nothing happened to Tony's brain. You know, he got some shrapnel in his heart, but the guy was able to cobble together an Iron Man suit out of a bunch of junk in a cave in the Middle East. So he never lost any of what made him great. With Doctor Strange, on the other hand, that fall has consequences. What he has to do is start completely over. You know, this guy was the top of his field in medicine, and now he has to start as a student. And not just a student of anything, a student of magic, something he has no respect for, in fact very little belief in, until the moment. The moment that turns everything. When he's sitting there, you know, saying like, I don't believe in any of this, until the Swinton just pushes him out of his body, and we get one of the most incredible visual, just pure visual effects sequence to date in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. The Marvel movies have been pretty impressive visually. Doctor Strange blows them all away. I did not expect when I went in to see Doctor Strange that I was going to see a movie that made Inception look lazy. So let's go ahead and talk about some of the characters. So, first and foremost, you've got Doctor Strange. I'm still kind of on the fence about that one, because he was so much like Dr. House playing a Tony Stark. That's kind of what you get. Once he has his fall, once he's trying to build back up, once you get to those self-sacrifice moments, the confusion, the lingering disbelief, Those he does great. Next up is Tilda Swinton, the Ancient One. Marvel kind of had a minefield to dance through on this one because there was really no right step to this one. If you want your movie to make any money in China, you're going to have a hard time having one of your core characters be a Tibetan monk because politics. Swinton is compelling, she is engaging, she gives a stunning performance. And the bit right before she dies, where she and Strange are speaking out of body, and she's watching the whole world in slow motion as her body is on that crash cart in the hospital, just spectacular. Just, I mean, incredible performance by both actors, but Swinton just knocks it out of the park. Moving on, we get to Baron Mordo, we get to Wong, some of our supporting cast members. Those two are a lot of fun to play off of one another. I liked Wong. I didn't like some of the pop culture jokes around him. They just kind of fell flat, and they're going to date the movie. They're not going to hold up, but whatever. Wong was still a ton of fun. Mordo, I like what they're doing with him, setting him up to be the villain in the future movies. This guy just saw his whole world crumble. He just found out that the Ancient One, you know, the person who's tops in their order, has been using power from the Dark Dimension. Yeah, that's really left him shaken. And that's something you can relate to. Finally, let's get to the villains. Caecilius, who is the classic fallen student, has an idea for how to make the world right, is going about it all the wrong ways. He's really more of an archetype than a character, but Mads Mikkelsen's performance saves it. Every time he is on screen, he is just magnetic. And I love the way they kept just building up the makeup around the eyes the deeper he got into Dormammu's thrall. Now, Dormammu? I'm really surprised that they brought Dormammu in on this one. I know a lot of people complained about the appearance. I didn't really mind him being a 5-story tall California raisin. When he shows up, it's not a, well, okay, how are they going to get out of this one? It's a, ooh. Doctor Strange has only learned a few things at this point. He is nowhere near the level he needs to be to take on this guy. There's nobody else on the Earth plane who can take on this guy. I was impressed. You know, there was a real sense of stakes, a real sense of danger, and I would say that Doctor Strange's sacrifice, or willingness to self-sacrifice, you still want to draw comparisons to Iron Man? Tony was willing to take a dive in his suit. This is more along the lines of Cap level. Like, Cap was going to crash the plane, sure. Doctor Strange is willing to resign himself to dying again and again and again and again for eternity in order to protect Earth. Yeah, Earth is kind of stuck in a time loop, or maybe he and Dormammu are stuck in a time loop. Regardless, the Dormammu, I've come to bargain. I loved that. Now, would I recommend this movie? Absolutely. Is it a must-watch? I don't know that I would say it's a must-watch. I mean, yes, he is carrying around the Time Stone, one of the Infinity Stones, but beyond that, it really doesn't tie in much to the greater Marvel Universe, except to establish Doctor Strange as a presence, who we really only see again in a cameo in Ragnarok. And even then, you know, he's still learning. As he's talking to Thor, it's not just, oh, I know what's going on. He's looking through books. He's trying to find answers as he goes, which I like that. I love those little character details that we see throughout the Marvel Universe. If you haven't seen it already, check it out. And I'll see you next time with Spider-Man: Homecoming.
Doctor Strange is easily one of my favorite movies in the MCU, and that's even after repeated viewing. With this movie, we had absolutely great acting and cast, we had a storyline that was kind of compelling, we had special effects and action sequences that are fun, and then we had some good humor. With this, I remember initially I was a little bit concerned about Benedict Cumberbatch being cast. I like him, you know, just fine. I think he's a terrific actor. I've enjoyed him in Sherlock, I enjoyed him in The Hobbit, I even enjoyed him in Star Trek. But then, coming with this movie, I went, is he being cast because he's popular, or is he being cast because he's a good fit? I can honestly say after watching the movie several times, he's a good fit. With this, I can't even remember who the other picks I had were, but he's great. At the beginning of the movie, we get to see that, you know, of course, he is actually a doctor. He's world-renowned, and with that, he is like the classic Greek hero. He is both incredibly skilled and incredibly arrogant. We get inklings of this from the way he interacts with other people, both his colleagues and, of course, with Dr. Palmer. One thing I liked in the hallway, we got everything we needed to know about their relationship. They dated, he didn't care about her enough, he always put himself first, and he's so obsessed with Doctor Strange, he doesn't think about anything else, and so she left. When he goes ahead and has, of course, his downfall, it is his own arrogance, his own hubris that causes it. And so he's driving on a windy road at high speed at night, passing other cars, and then suddenly, and he's looking at medical files no less, and in a phone call, and suddenly he's off the rails, off the road, crash, flips, the worst of the worst. Part of this, you know, you saw it coming. He's got such arrogance about himself. He refuses to take cases where, oh, you know, 60 other surgeons could do that. You know, I'm the guy that comes for the best of the best. And then, oh, that person? No, they're too injured. You're not going to mess up my perfect track record. And so again, we see he's not caring about the patients or anybody else. He's caring about himself and the image he's created of who is Doctor Strange. He's this world-renowned surgeon, and he's the best of the best. When he goes ahead and gets injured, obviously he's identified himself with his hands. And some of the best imagery in this movie comes from him using his hands. Basically, it's almost like, you know, pulling back the armor and going, look at how injured I am. Look, this is my soul. And he does that with Pangborn when he goes ahead and tries to find out how he got himself healed. He does it when he's talking to Dr. Palmer and saying, look at what they've done. They've butchered my hands, because effectively he feels like his life is over. And then he begins his journey. And with this journey, he ends up going to Carmitage. As we go through the movie, he gets to Carmitage, and when he first meets the Ancient One, obviously he's got these preconceived ideas. He's warned, hey, throw everything you know out, but he does it anyway. He thinks, oh, it's got to be this really old dude. Nope, not him. You know, he's surprised it's this bald white woman, as I'm sure a lot of people were. And then in Thor, they were talking about science and magic being one and the same where they come from. Well, here we kind of get that. You know, obviously the sling ring grounds the magic users so they can cast the spells, but then also when she has all the different books and she's showing him, look at this image, look at this image, and it's the chakra, it's the MRI, it's the X-ray, she's saying they're all parts of the same thing. So again, we kind of tie back where, okay, science and technology, they do kind of interweave here, and I'm okay with that. That was fine. It ties it to the larger MCU. So before he ever meets Caecilius, I thought the dialogue between Mordo and the Ancient One's really telling. You know, same kind of a thing. We've got somebody who's damaged, somebody who has an incredible aptitude for the arts, and they're misguided, and then he ends up becoming a huge threat. Similarly, they were worried about Doctor Strange doing that. And so Doctor Strange is basically the other side of that coin. And to me, that made him and Caecilius, that tied them together in a really great way. And it made it a little bit more personal, because they can obviously identify with each other, and they've got a lot of similarities and overlap. With this, when they finally go ahead and tell him about defending the Sanctums, and we defend Earth and the mystical threats, he doesn't want to have anything to do with it. He's kind of the reluctant hero, and I thought that was great. It made sense. He just wants his old life back. When the Sanctum gets attacked, obviously he has to defend himself because he doesn't want to die. When he does that, Caecilius even acknowledges, hey, this guy's more skilled than he should be. He says, how long have you been here? Because, you know, we just took out the guardian of the Sanctum. We've taken out these other librarians and these guys that have been here for years. And this guy just, you know, shows up and he's brand new and he's able to fend off my guys. I really enjoyed the fact that Doctor Strange didn't do it on his own. He had to have the help from the Cloak of Levitation, and that was important because honestly, if the Ancient One's having trouble with Caecilius, why is he just going to come in and fight Caecilius and be an even match? He struggles the whole way through that fight, and that was good. I did like how even with that fight, he lost. He got injured and then had to go back to his old life. So of course Dr. Palmer has to help do surgery, and then he's fighting in the astral area. That was really cool, that was different and interesting, and of course it's a playback to the classic comics where that sort of a scene came in, and so that's kind of fun too. When he and Caecilius finally have their showdown, he's kind of understanding his role, and of course that aptitude I was talking about. Wong and Mordo both recognized it early on and talked about it in the movie. They say, wait a minute, how did you learn those rituals to understand these books, or those books are advanced? We see a little hint of that where it's kind of humorous, but when he opens the little portal so he can steal the books from the library, nobody else in the movie does that. We never see anybody make one of these portals that's anything but human-sized, so it's nice to go ahead and see that. When he goes ahead and fights Caecilius, it's also great that he kind of outthinks Caecilius. You know, it's not just straight up fighting him. He realizes the futility in it. And we've got the Eye of Agamotto. I love the animation basically when it opens up and then we can see it activated. The history behind it is interesting, and it's a very prominent Infinity Stone. So it was nice that it was actually used in the movie, and it was more than just in the movie, it was also part of the plot. When we finally get to Dormammu, I'm here to bargain. I'll go ahead and work out a deal, so it's a draw. I wasn't messed up about that, and I thought it was kind of great. You know, that's how he deals with Caecilius. It's not direct, it doesn't have to be direct. I'll just go to your boss, basically. Dormammu's animation, being the face in the sky, it was okay. I don't know how else I would have done it, but it was a little bit hokey. It's not as compelling to me as like his fighting with Caecilius, or when he finds out about the Ancient One siphoning off the dark energies. I mean, she's trying to do good with it, but she's going about it the wrong way. And Mordo, that also sets him up, where this amulet's breaking the natural order and you all don't respect it. And I'm actually excited about Mordo going into the future. In the end, the Ancient One's dead. He has shown this aptitude throughout. Obviously, there's a power vacuum. We lost a lot of the stronger guys through all of Caecilius' attacks and through the people he converted. A lot of people forget about that because he took some of the strongest students with him. And he's learned who he is. He's kind of repaired his soul, and he's accepted the fact when he has the gloves on, okay, my old life isn't what I thought it was. I've got a role here to do. And so, you know, he went from the classic Greek hero that's fallen, and then the reluctant hero, and now he's starting to accept his role in the universe. With the post-credit scene, when we saw him helping Thor get Odin back, or at least telling him he would, that was not only humorous, because of course we went from the teacup to the mug, but we also saw, okay, here's a hint of how your role in the MCU is going to be going into the future, and that was really cool. This movie, for a lot of reasons, just hit all the buttons and checked all the boxes for me. This is fantastic. Go watch it.
Thanks guys for those reviews. If you want to win some extra entries just like they did to possibly win the Marvel Cinematic Universe on Blu-ray, yes, the entire collection, please send me some reviews to comicbookquizbowl@gmail.com. Which reviews are we looking for? Well, we are in the home stretch, everyone. We're looking for Guardians of the Galaxy 2, Spider-Man Homecoming, and Thor Ragnarok. If you want to send me Black Panther stuff too, you can. I'm not going to turn it down. And thank you guys for watching. And that's it for Doctor Strange. What do you guys think about the Sorcerer Supreme? Let me know in the comment section down below. If you enjoyed this video, hit that like button, and if you're new here, subscribe. Share this video with all your friends, and as always, this is Cameron with CBM Reviews. We'll see you next time.